Thank you for everybody for tuning in for the Fall River Experiment, where we support Fall River, promote Fall River, and talk nothing but Fall River. Today, we have Derek Furtado.
Hello. Hi, how are you guys? This is great. I just want to start off by saying I just love, I don't know if anybody else enjoys this, but I love watching other people's relationships fall apart right in front of me. I don't know if anybody else. Do you guys, like, if it's not your relationship, isn't it fucking fun? It is so much fun. I love, that's why sometimes I like going to IKEA. Right? And I'm not even there to get furniture. I just sit in a fake kitchen and then I watch a real relationship fall apart in a fake living room. I love it. I love it. Oh, okay, a couple of people over there as well. Yeah.
What's up, Johnny?
Stand-up comedian,
Yes, that's what I do.
and I'll let you finish the rest. Let everybody know.
Just a stand-up comic that's that I live around Fall River. Been in Fall River. Been out of Fall River. Like any person, I think from Fall River, you can love it, but you try to get away, and somehow it doesn't let you go. You know what I mean? Like that's. But yeah, I've been doing stand-up comedy for like 13 years, and it's good because every once in a while I get to do it in Fall River too, which has actually a fun, group of people that kind of a little more rugged. They kind of have that like, almost as if like the reputation that Boston used to have of being like more
I think that
rugged.
too,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like hard working. Like you can talk about the dirtiest shit. You know what I mean? And people are like, oh hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You know, you can kind of just open up a little bit more in Fall River. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, there's like everything out here in Fall River. It's like you can literally find every type of ethnicity, every type of everything's here.
Dude, it's a good melting pot in this area. I mean, clearly there's way more Portuguese than anything else. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's what I mean. Though. It must be like a perfect place to like use your material and all your stuff, and just like, you know what I mean. You can practice it on everybody here.
Yeah, I mean, anywhere's like fun. You can try to find where your boundaries are because not every place is like Fall River. But that's but Fall River is actually a lot like other places too, though, where places that kind of want to shit on Fall River, like everybody has their own like kind of issues and stuff like that. So where somebody could be in like a real nice area, there's like no crime, but then you hear about like the worst domestic murder of all time, and like some weird, you know what I mean? Just like, this whole family was wiped out, and but there's no crime there. But then, however, you see all this like petty shit because there's a lot of people that that live in the area. You know what I mean?
I was explaining that to my buddy Justin on the last one too. You know what I mean? There's obviously good and bad in everywhere. So I don't really like when, like, of course, Fall River gets a bad rap. But I don't really like when we get a bad rap because like. I've been there, like I've hung out with bad kids, like you know what I mean, and I thought like I see what everybody's talking about, like you know what I mean, like with all these just punks and getting into trouble, and but you grow up and you grow older. And
the thing is, it's like the whole like it's funny because I'm like Fall River, it's one of those where it's like you can defend it to a certain degree, and then other times you're just kind of like, yeah, it is what it is, but don't say anything thinking that you're squeaky clean on the other end. So it's just kind of like, you know what, to make it seem like it's all like it's a horrific thing. It's like, dude, it's like any other place. Like Worcester, people say, oh, Worcester's a bad place. I'm like, all right, fine. Worcester is Fall River, but it's got no water. And I'm like, and we'll fuck anybody up. I'm like, anybody wants to do it. What city has battleships? We have battleships. What the hell is anybody else gonna do? Like, what does New Bedford have? What do you guys got? A whale? He's a dick, mopey dick.
You came here from the West Coast, right? Now, do you remember the West Coast a lot? Like, how different is, like, with San Diego, right?
Yeah, I was born in San Diego, but I lived in Orange County for a while, too. So I moved around a lot. So I lived in Hawaii, I lived in California, I lived in Arizona,
Now,
I
other
lived
than
in
the
Virginia.
weather, obviously, how different is it? Is there, like, you know what I mean? Is there a Fifth Street around Orange County? Is there a Kennedy Park in Orange County?
There's places that are kind of like that, but they're called something else. It's like, it's got, like... it's like Rancho San Joaquin Park. That's what it's called, but that's their Kennedy Park. You know what I mean? Like that's what. So.
But is there a lot of gangs and like?
Sure. Oh man, there was for being in the I was in Irvine, which is considered one of the safest cities in the country. By our school bus, there was a drive-by, like there's things that end up happening. This is supposed to be a night, but I'm like, this is the nicest neighborhood or safest area. I'm like stuff like that can end up happening. So no matter where you are, it doesn't matter.
Now, what about high school? Was it like a suburban? Was it like a street?
Dude, you want to talk like a school that you would see on like on a movie? We had this thing called office hours. It was kind of like a study hall, but it was a certain period where everybody was able to make up their stuff and go to any classroom. So it was like open for 45 minutes, and it wasn't like, oh, I have this study hall at this period or this study hall. Everybody in the entire school had the same thing at the same time, and what would happen is that you'd have to go to each class, do that kind of stuff, and then at lunch, everybody had the same lunch too. There wasn't a first lunch, second lunch. Everybody can go off campus.
What was like the population? How many kids were in your school?
Oh, it was a few thousand. It was a bigger school, but like this is the grace part. During the lunch every day, there would be a DJ on the outside, and it's like BCC, so it's like open kind of campus, and there'd be a DJ right where the theater would be. So there'd be pillars and steps going into the theater. But there'd be a guy on the outside, and they have speakers, and then you'd have these little like Asian pop locking groups like doing their shit. You know what I mean? And people would dance.
If you replace the DJs with police officers and the Asian pop lockers with like battle rappers, wannabe battle rappers.
Yeah.
If I would. That's what Durfee was. It was more like it was really street. It was really like I always compare it when I just want to joke around with people. Like, dude, it was like, you ever watch Gangsta's Paradise? It was just like that, but we had no Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah,
like,
it was
all just
it was
like
it's
really,
actually funnier. It was more like high school high.
Yeah, like really in Durfee, you just had to show up and you would pass. Like that's like not. Like, I wouldn't want to say that for all the honors classes and all the people that took like those special classes, but the people that took like the work readiness classes and people like me. Yeah, all you had to do was just show up, and still that wasn't enough. We still didn't want to show up.
And you know what? There's a lot of it. But that's you can get that anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but I enjoy Fall River. And, my father was born and raised out here. He went to Durfee, and so when he retired,
really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
When he retired from the Marine Corps, that's why we ended up coming back to this area. So that's why
I always thought you and your brother just moved out here for San Diego.
No, man, like we always had ties, so we came back here for
your
holidays
dad was
and stuff growing up. Yeah, man, I know all the stuff that was here before. I went to go see movies at the
so
the
you
Harbor Mall
I was gonna say, so you guys like visited and stuff like before did that full move.
Oh yeah.
What'd you think of it?
For me, it was like during the holidays, so I'd come by and everybody would have on the apartment buildings have the Christmas lights up, and you'd see the St. Anne's Church, and like to me it was just like, wow, we came during that time.
Yeah, the '90s was fun and far,
and it was great, man. And then you're hearing people with their windows down listening to Color Me Bad, and Stevie B on the app.
Yeah, right. That was my my god, I love having older brother and older sister.
Yeah, that's but that was like for
they
me.
They also sung "I Wanna Sex You Up," but I just don't. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
They don't know about.
I wanna sex you up. People have the windows down doing it, and then Stevie B.
A lot of people don't know about "I Adore Me."
But that's I think one guy sells tires now. If I'm not mistaken, I think one of them does. And but Stevie B likes to come around the area too.
Yeah, he does.
Always goes over
he has a big. Oh, we love him out here. There's a big following out here.
But hell
did you guys like? This is probably a stupid question, but is he big in San Diego? Was he?
Yeah, I mean everybody knows who Stevie B is, and I think it was big, but I don't think we were kind of like everybody was
like bumping him.
Because when I was out there and things were what was big at the time was literally the East Coast, West Coast. Stuff that was going on, you know what I mean, with Biggie and Tupac, and that was like that. We're talking during that period of time, it was huge. So like hip hop music, I was definitely engulfed.
Did you guys like boycott like Bad Boy, like Biggie and like people from the East Coast?
No, I didn't, because I loved the East Coast. Biggie was my favorite. I loved Biggie. You know what I mean? I just liked it. I just loved that rugged kind of thing. And I knew Tupac's background where he was like, I'm like, this guy, he's spitting at cameras, he's flipping out, but he went to like an acting school. You know what I mean? This guy is, he's well-rounded. He's getting caught up and all that kind of stuff. Biggie was just this heavy-set kid that came from, like he didn't know what the fuck is going on, and...
So you're listening to Biggie, you know what I mean? It sounds almost like Fall River somewhat, with the pop and lock and all that stuff and the DJing.
Yeah.
How'd you get into comedy? How'd you start? Like, did you start like doing like stand-up in school? Like
no, I was just when I lived in California, it was like I took drama and I played football. So
You told me that you
the home
quarterback,
run,
yeah.
MVP. You know what I'm saying?
What was the name of your school, first of all?
University High School. It was uni. It was what we called it. University High School.
Sounds legit.
They were the Trojans, and we had kind of like North Carolina colors, University of North Carolina, but it was more like light blue, but we had
like
more
tacos,
dark blue
yeah.
involved too, light blue, dark blue, and white. And then I moved and went to Rogers High School in Newport for 1 year.
Newport, Rhode Island, or in Cali?
Yeah, in Newport, Rhode Island. Went to Rogers High School there, and then I my last year was at Dighton Rehoboth Regional High School. Yeah, the Falcons kid. But comedy started because I'd moved around a lot, so I always had to be like a new guy trying to get along with people and trying to work it. So my thing was using humor was a way to kind of to get along, to kind of make things speed up a little bit, and I think because of that, building that up over the years, comedy just kind of was like, dude, I need to do this. Like, I need to.
I took theater classes in Durfee for a freshman and sophomore year, and I loved it, and I loved everything I learned from it. I aced it, and I always looked at it like it was just an easy class to pass, but I always to this day think like, man, I could be a fucking dynamite actor.
I'm gonna be killed.
I can never do stand up though. Like, I have no idea how you do it. My brother wants to do stand up. Like, he talks about it all the time. Like, yeah, I want to take classes someday. And I'm like, I have no idea like how you do it. I can never be on a stage with like people just like anticipating a really funny like knee slapper, and I'm like, I don't got no.
It's like perform.
Yeah, well,
and you're like, all right, here we go. But in that forum, it's expected to be like it's set up for that thing. So just going up there and doing that, I mean, it takes a while to learn that.
How do you handle hecklers? Because that's one thing I always think about with my brother. My brother, Andrew, if he ever tried to do stand-up and somebody heckled, because I've heard hecklers before. Like, you know what I mean? I've been to one of your shows and heard hecklers.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And I do not know. I would love to jump off the stage and just, give him a nice water boy drop kick.
Oh, listen.
Boom!
Violence.
I know he's going to want to do
listen,
it.
The idea of wanting to hit somebody, it's fine. That's a very alpha thing. And like that's LeBert. I could see him just, what the fuck you said, and just smash on somebody. For me, I've never been that kind of person. So like to see somebody who's bigger than me and who I know physically could manhandle me, but I break them from the inside out, like a microwave. Like seeing somebody want to cry without violence, like words literally can do that to you. There's a part of me that I really like. I enjoy that. But how that happens and what people don't understand about hecklers is that there's not always negative hecklers. Sometimes there's hecklers that don't. They're just, maybe there's drunk people in the crowd. Maybe I just told a joke that really meant something to them. Maybe they're in a group and it's a bunch of girls going, Becky, remember when you sucked that guy's dick? And then she's saying that to her and she goes, oh my God, I forgot about, I blacked that out.
Derek.
And they're sitting there saying this and they're talking while I'm trying to move on. But then at that point I'm going, ladies, I go, it's fun that I just said that joke and you guys are talking to each other. I want to now know which one of you did da-da-da-da-da. So now I'm involved with them because they were interrupting. But I got to understand where that comes from. But then there's people who I already know before the show starts. I can see them. They're getting more drunk. They're the loud one at their table. I know what's happening. But if the show starts and I jump on them like immediately, I haven't given the audience time to realize what I realize. So if I jump on them, I'm already the asshole. They don't know he's the asshole yet, or she. And then what I do is I have to sacrifice a few jokes. So I know a few jokes I'm going to go and it's probably going to somebody's going to say something, it's going to interrupt things, and I know that. And then when there's enough time where I start seeing the crowd like, you can see them getting mad, and I go, now it's time. And they say something, and then you shit all over them.
It's great. There's no way you have your comedian card without knowing how to handle hecklers. Like, if you can't handle a heckler.
It's trial and error. The first time that I said something, I did a joke about how news people, like they would go from like a very serious story, and then they would like try to move on, or they would say something funny and then try to move on to a serious story. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll make a little joke about some sort of thing that they showed about puppies, on the news, and they would say that, and they're like, then they want to move on to something serious, and they do like this fake laugh, and like, haha. And one guy said, like I'm doing right now, like fake laughing, and I was like, oh. and it was the first time I heard something. And it was a great heckle, quality heckle. I set myself
I
up.
imagine there's some good comedians in the crowd too here and there.
Yeah, well, so yeah, and so at that point I got real defensive because I had never dealt with something like that, and it was more like me going, well, yeah, well, you're a fucking shithead person, you suck. Like I didn't know what to do, but now it's like I don't say I embrace it, like I want it, but when it does happen, I go, all right, I like to be able to challenge myself. One lady was standing up in the middle of one of my shows. She had like this bedazzled shoulder like blazer kind of thing on, and she just kept going like this, thumbs up, stand up like this. I'm like, man, what are you doing? You look like every crazy person I've ever seen in a video about like the subway system in New York. Like you just look like that kind of thing. And the crowd starts going, oh, she's a cancer survivor. I guess that was brought up earlier in the show, and I wasn't paying attention. I was in the back of the green room. So now they're like, oh, like, you know, and it's like, how are you going to react to that, buddy, that you didn't know that? Dude. And I go, you know what? Guys, congratulations, man. Congratulations that you survived cancer. You survived cancer to be here, to be made fun of like everybody else. And it was almost like everyone looked around and was like, hey, you know what? Fuck this cancer surviving bitch up. Like the mindset changed because I wanted to make it positive. Like, yeah, I'm making fun, but like she's here. She's a part of this thing, which is a cool thing. Instead of it being like, oh, let's stump the comic on that. It's like, nah, man, let's make fun of this lady. She's here doing it. She could be in the hospital, you know what I mean, in a real bad situation. She's loving life.
You are like such a legit pro. Like I've been telling you this for years already, how much of a pro you are. Like, so what's the next step? You do the Black Whale at New Bedford, right?
Oh, this, what did I do? It was the.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Is it the Black Whale?
No, it's a new comedy club. Something comedies. I'll have to remember. We have to edit that in or whatever it is. But it's a newer comedy club that they're trying to open up over in New Bedford, which is good. It was a great room, great time.
You gonna be around when that opens?
Huh?
You gonna be around still when that opens?
Well, it's open now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
oh.
like I did a show.
That's I'm trying to get the name of it too now.
Yeah,
I know you were promoting it too. I always thought it was the Black Whale.
No. I forgot what the. Regardless.
But yeah, so you pretty much you run the Comedy Connection over there. What's next for you? You do it all. I have your Dub Smash. I'm gonna add that in here too, just to let everybody know. I'm gonna put some of his Dub Smash in here. I love your YouTube channel. That's Derek Furtado Comedy. If you guys want to go see some of his stuff, it's really funny. Just that clip right there. Go to it just to see his Dub Smash stuff. You do with your brother and Mario.
Oh yeah.
Goes my hero. Watch him as he goes.
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown. I amuse you. I make you laugh. I'm here to fucking amuse you. What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Teeny weeny, shriveled little short dick man. Don't.
Show me your genitals. Your genitals.
What?
Show me your genitals.
Genitalia.
Show me your genitals. Your genitals.
What?
Show me your genitals.
Today is the greatest day I've ever known.
She wants to fuck me. She wants my dick in or around her mouth.
Bet you're the kind of guy that would fuck a person in the ass and not even have the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around.
I'm gonna rip the eyes out of your head and piss at your dead skull. You fucked with the wrong Marine.
Brandon is the star of such adult fare as, what was that one called again?
You better shut your mouth or I'm gonna fuck it.
If you guys want to go see some of his stuff, it's really funny. Just that clip right there. Go to it just to see his Dub Smash stuff. You do with your brother and Mario.
Oh yeah, the Dub Smash was, and it's funny because people were like, they still do that. I go, there's still Dub Smash, and they're like, oh, I remember when that was a thing. I go,
yeah, now it's TikTok.
I'm like, yeah, it's TikTok, but I'm like, I'm holding on to Dub Smash. I got that shit figured out. I enjoy doing it.
So you did the app thing, you do the Comedy Connection.
Yeah.
You're pretty much you're the biggest pro around here. You really are. Like I've been telling you for years, Saturday Night Live needs to be your next move, or at least acting.
Well, acting. My buddy and I, Ray, have
Yeah,
done some
did
stuff.
that.
We've
That's on
written out.
Hulu now, right?
Huh?
Be a Man?
Be a Man was on Hulu. We had a year contract, but that's up. But anybody can order it. You know, you can get it on iTunes, Amazon, all that kind of stuff.
It's called Be a Man, and it's with Ray and Derek.
You go to beamanthefilm.com too, and you can order.
Put a nice description at the bottom. Let them know.
Yeah. So we made a movie, won a bunch of awards.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, we were able to go to different comedy festivals around the country.
Ray fought Vinny Paz.
Yeah, Ray gets in a
this
fight
is
with Vinny
before
Paz.
Bleed for This. So Bleed Like This came out too.
Yeah, so it was before it came out.
Vinny. That was funny.
And Vinny Paz, for those who don't know, he's a 5-time world championship boxer from Rhode Island, from Cranston. And everybody in the area, basically, you know, in New England knows him. I mean, everybody around the country knows who he is, but he's definitely more homebound here. A lot of people.
Oh, he loves the South Coast.
Yeah,
he loves the scene, the fight scene around here. He's always
around. Yeah, big supporter of a lot of fighting. He's a really, really nice guy.
I got the chance to actually meet him when I was really, really young, and I was about like 10. And this was when I don't know if you know who Val Rocha is or if you ever heard of him. Now, I think I was about like 19 when his gym closed down. Now Pro Fitness is the home gym. Like that makes me feel all nice and warm inside. I love walking in there. Has a nice feeling. But Val's gym back in the day was this gym, which is now, you ever been to Tipsy Toboggan? Mm-hmm. So where the Tipsy Toboggan, I think there's some freaking gym over there.
I think
now.
my father said he used to go to Val. Like,
and
now that I'm thinking
it was the place to go. I used to live on Almond Street, which is right around the corner of over there, right around the corner of Ferry Street. And that was the gym to go to. And Val was just, like, he worked with all of them. He used to bring me to the Manfredos, which is another big Rhode Island boxing family. And I used to get to meet all these guys at such a young age. I'll never forget meeting Vinny Paz and obviously Peter, and just pretty much, just like notice how close he was to like Fall River, not just Fall River, but to the South Coast. Like these guys came to our gym. Peter Manfredo, Vinny Paz, they came to Val's, they signed the posters, and they came worked with like us, and like it was just really cool. Like you didn't really know, like especially me, like I didn't like care for combat sports at that time, like 10 years old, like I do now. Like when I was like 10, man, I'll never forget that either. Like just Val would bring out this big screen on his basketball court. We would watch all the Mike Tyson fights, all the Oscar De La Hoya fights. And I remember just being 10, 11 years old. And Vinny, that's what I'm trying to say, Vinny would come down to the gym for those events. Like, he was so cool. Like, he never looked
He's
really
such a support, and I know there's, and Vinny's treated a lot like how we were talking about how Fall River a reputation is. Mm-hmm. It's like, sure, there's some negative stuff that's involved here and there or whatever.
I was going to say, have you ever been to Val's gym?
Huh?
Have you ever been to Val's gym?
No.
Yeah, it was such a fun gym.
But Vinny is such a friendly person with his fans that, like, when you're out and about, there's so many people that want to, like, say hi, meet him, and all that kind of stuff. And he wants to meet and talk with everybody. But, of course, if you're out in different situations, some people are out at, like, if he goes to the comedy club, which is how I originally met him, you know, there's people probably had a little too much to drink. Their alpha comes out, and then they're fucking, you 5-time world champ, you can't do that.
He still got it.
He still got this thing.
Yeah.
But my whole point is, like, sometimes you're not looking for stuff. Trouble will find you, and especially if you're some sort of celebrity status too. That will come along.
That happened to you?
Way.
Anybody bother you because they knew who you were?
Not so much in a negative way, but I've had people come up where they think because the type of stuff I talk about on stage.
Offended, of course.
I talk dirtier stuff, so people want to tell me about their sex life randomly, at like Sears. Like I was at Sears with my mom one day because she was like, hey, do you want to go to Sears? They're having like a closeout thing, and I was getting my car fixed like right down the road. I was like, yeah, I'll go with you. And I'm standing there with my mother, and this guy comes up with his wife, and he's like, oh, you comic? So my mom hears this, and she kind of steps off to the side. You get to see, she's like, oh my God, my son's being noticed somewhere. I'm so proud of him. And the guy starts telling me, like, these street joke, like, real nasty stuff. And I'm like, oh, yeah, funny. And you can see his wife is just kind of like, why is he doing this right now? Mm-hmm. And it got to a point where now my mother's even seeing that I'm uncomfortable with this, and this guy just won't stop, to where my mother was like, hey, I got some extra leftover points on my Sears card. Do you want to get a pair of shoes? And it was like the one time where, like, when you're younger, you're like teens, you're in your 20s, you're a little embarrassed to be around your parents. I'm a grown man. I turn around, I'm like, yes, mommy. I said mommy. Mm-hmm. I said mommy to reiterate the fact that I'm like, I'm here with my mom. I'm with my mommy, and she's gonna get me a pair of shoes, and I don't give a shit because I want to get away from this guy who's making me feel very uncomfortable in a shoe department at Sears because he wants to tell me like real nasty dick jokes.
Jeez.
You know what I'm saying? So that kind of stuff it gets weird sometimes when people want to be friendly that way. But typically the people that want to come up and say something to you are probably not the kind of people you want to have conversations with anyway.
Well, like, what was it like getting noticed like that? Did it make you feel, even though you were with your mom, must have still felt pretty cool?
Initially it feels cool. And it's crazy because the first time somebody ever noticed me was at the Providence Place Mall. And it was in a situation where I was relieved for one other thing and couldn't really enjoy the fact that I was noticed.
So what do you think did they tell you how they noticed you? Like,
Yeah.
from what show and stuff like that?
So what it was, I was at the Express store. That's
Yeah,
it. And you know how Express is, they combine, it's like Express for men and women. It's all kind of in one
Slides
store.
in.
And I'm there with this girl, and she's returning something, and I'm there just looking in the middle. So they have middle racks where it's like, you know, like men's on that one, women's, and so you couldn't even tell. I'm just going through. They have the same kind of colors, same kind of things, and I'm looking at these button-down shirts. I'm like, oh, these are really nice. And then I'm proceeding to put them up against me to look. And then by the second or third one, I notice, I'm like, oh, the stitching goes in and then comes out. So women's have, like, they do this, like, hip thing, and I realize this, and I'm like, if anybody's been looking at me right now, I am, like, they're going to know that I was looking at, I had this, so I'm like, I just put it back, maybe pretend nothing happened, or maybe I take this over to the girls with and go, hey, do you like that? I was looking at this for you. I just decided to put it back. There was a DJ inside of Express that day for some weird reason, playing music, DJ kit, like
I mean, DJs like just surround your life.
I don't know what DJs are part of my life. Like,
you think
I
it's
need
like
to have,
a sign?
Yeah, because I need to have an entrance thing for everything I do. I gotta have a DJ. I mean, that's the first thing I'm gonna
Dale,
do.
if you're listening, you need to be a DJ, bro.
Yeah, anybody who's a DJ and just wants to follow me around, just playing music, no matter where I go, I need that. So all I hear is, as soon as I put the thing back, I go to turn away, and I hear, "Hey," and I'm going, "Son of," like, what's my fear? That somebody's going, hey, were you just trying on women's clothes? Were you put, like, is somebody just gonna say that, like watching me the whole time? This is my fear. And it's the DJ, and he's like, hey man, are you a comic? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, dude, I saw you at Catch a Rising Star, which was over at Twin River at the time. He's like, dude, you were hilarious, like last week. And I goes, oh yeah, thanks man. I'm sitting there going, thank God he didn't say anything about the outfit, and I'm not even able to enjoy the fact that somebody's noticing me for the first time, you know, out away from, you know, the comedy club, and it was because I was, you know, putting up women's Express button-downs against my body.
So I mean, that obviously you've kind of forever famous now. Like, you know what I mean? You made it. They noticed you at the Providence Place Mall. Like I said, you pretty much headlined the Comedy Connection.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what's next, man? You gonna make that Cali move?
Yeah.
Like, I know I've been telling you, and you've been saying you're gonna make.
Yeah,
Cali move,
I want to.
like,
The goal is to, you know, to move back over to California.
And what are you gonna do when you get there? Like, what's the first step?
The first step before,
like, obviously moving in and all that noise. Like, where are you gonna go, like, to get noticed? Like, is there like a comedy club or anything like that?
Yeah, well, they have all the stuff, and you know, from listening to Rogan, they have the, you know, comedy store and all that kind of stuff. All of those things are, of course, goals to be a part of. Getting inside there with being like a paid regular.
Do you think you did everything you could in the South Coast? Like, you know, think that, like, is it like, wouldn't you have to, like, go to New York to, like, try out for SNL and stuff like that? Or you want to go right to, you want to do the acting thing, or not SNL?
It's SNL. All of those things are options, okay? And whether you're in LA or New York, all those things, even an SNL thing could fall in your lap when you're out in California.
Yeah, I guess. So you're pretty much, that is your audition, and when you're doing stand-up.
The world that you're in is you're a part of this thing. So a lot of the comics or writers that are SNL are also traveling stand-up comedians as well. I know a few of them personally.
So I went to go see John Mulaney and Pete Davidson like a couple weeks ago. Oh, Mulaney, man, probably one of the greatest.
One of the funniest,
greatest
like,
writers and greatest comedians around.
Dude,
he's so
great.
good. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
But yeah, so no, you're right, and so this world that you're in, I'm not delusional to the idea of where I'm at and what I'm doing. My thing is the first thing is just establishing those networking and the connections that you have, and knowing where you stand. And so, you know, after doing this for 13 years and some of the connections that I have, there's going to be a few lines I get to cut, but there's still lines I have to still get in and do that.
You should link up with Carlos Mancini. I don't know what he did, but he cut a lot of lines.
Oh yeah, he cut a lot of lines and then added it to his own.
Don't meet
stuff.
up with Carlos Mencia.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's.
I was actually asked to open up for him once at the Connection, and I was like, no,
Really?
well, I'm good. And I knew it was gonna be sold
He's
out.
gonna, next thing you know, he's gonna be doing this on one of his
yeah, he's
HBO
gonna do
little
a,
vagina
I have
thing.
a wide vagina joke. Some people think
That's
if
a
you,
Derek Furtado trademark right there, Menstelia.
I have women that sometimes will sit there. Women of all people, when I talk, it's a joke
Give
about
me
wide
the reverse
vagina.
Diamond Dallas Page.
Yeah, I go, some of you might think it's a Diamond Dallas Page move, but it's not.
It's
my vagina. So not my vagina, but it's my.
But if you see Mencia doing it, you know you got it from him.
Yeah. So we know it from here. But there are times women of all people, you would think that they wouldn't like a wide vagina joke. Some of them, it's their favorite, one of their favorite jokes.
Can you tell it? Can you tell it? I love your wide vagina stuff.
So, well, all it is just like I look into the audience and I let them know that I see a different show than what they see. So when I'm looking out in a crowd, you see a lot of couples that are there, and I can tell, just by looking who's in a good relationship and who's in a bad relationship, depending on how they react from shit that comes out of my face, right? And so if I talk about like just vagina, I think it's a good topic. But when I go into detail about it, this is where you get to see like people, like their reactions a little different. So I will say, like, so here I'm gonna do this, you know what I mean? I don't know sign language, but I think we all. But if I say like wide vagina, when I do, you know who's in a shitty relationship, because the guys that are in that shitty relationship, I can see they're like staring up at me like this.
You just got that look on your face.
Because they could feel the women staring at the side of their face, like daring them to laugh, like just looking right at him. Go ahead, laugh. Like if he starts laughing, she's like, "What do you think? It's my vagina? Do you think I think it's my?" Yeah, and he's like, "No, come on, baby. I bought the just settle down. We're having a good night tonight." Like you could tell. But then the people in a good relationship, when I go back to the same thing, if I say like why vagina, they just turn to their women and they're like, "Bitch, that's you, right?" But then she turns over, she's like, "Oh yeah, well you got a little bit too," and then they high five.
I see it coming.
When they high five, it's like, oh, like they know each other, and that's a good relationship. You know what I mean? And so, it's so like women will sit in and they'll go, like if I haven't done it, like vagina,
do the vagina. That's me too, not just women. I mean, do the vagina thing.
Do the vagina. Do the vagina. And it's like, oh my god.
A little kid from Shrek, do the roar.
But it's fun when those kinds of things happen, where people will still continue wanting to go see you, and they actually do want to hear a joke that you've done before. People want to hear new material, but it's still cool that people enjoy something that you're working on or you're doing, and it's like when you see a movie or hear a song and your friend has never heard it, like don't you get excited? You're like, oh, check this shit out.
That's the thing. If I went to one of your shows, yes, I would not that I didn't want or don't want to hear the vagina thing, but it's like, yeah, I would want to hear your new stuff all the time. I would. But like people need to hear that joke.
Yeah, there's so many different things that people will bring up in jokes that maybe I haven't done in years, and like, oh my god, I remember.
So do you think you could write?
Huh?
Do you think you could write?
What do you mean, like write?
Write, whether it be for a movie, for SNL, like sketch comedy.
100%.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of your sketches already. Like as it is, it looks like you can. Even your dub smashes, it just seems like it's like that's obviously a comedic mind. Like you know what I mean? Like
yeah, I mean, really, with a lot of comics, comedians are probably some of the most lazy people I know. In the sense that we all have ideas, but a lot of us don't follow through.
Who's your favorite comedian?
And my favorite comedian is not even alive anymore. It was Patrice O'Neill.
Well, who's your favorite comedian that's alive?
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr?
Yeah. Bill Burr is my favorite because of his ability to work on material enough and not be afraid to cross a line, to know where the limit is. So, like, because he has a way of being able to build things up to where an entire crowd is so uncomfortable, but when he needs to bring it there so that feeling, that emotion's there, and he breaks it down, and it is so funny. But that ability to go through all of that I love that mindset. I love the control of it. I love it being something that creates emotion from people, whether you're slightly upset or almost going to be upset or you're uncomfortable. And then when you bring it to that point, and then it's almost like letting air out of a balloon, and people laugh and they feel much better. That feeling that he provides.
So you understand all that too.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, you got a great delivery too. I feel like a lot of people don't understand that about comedy. You can be the funniest man alive.
Yeah, yeah.
If you don't have a good delivery, you know what I mean? Like it's just bad. Like right now, my like John Mulaney's delivery. is
so
amazing.
fun.
It's perfect.
So fun.
I also like Chris D'Elia a lot too. He's right now them two are my two
He
favorite comedians
is-
all time. Eddie Murphy's my favorite comedian
Yeah,
of all
yeah,
time,
yeah.
but Mulaney and Chris.
Chris
my God.
Elliott, he is a he's like I want to follow him on Instagram. Like I just think he just doesn't care, and in the sense of like he's willing to take risks and just be super
I
ridiculous.
never
about
knew he was my favorite comedian. My first time ever seeing him was on Workaholics,
Oh, okay.
the To Catch a Predator episode.
Oh, I didn't see
Oh my God,
Yeah.
you are missing out. Chris D'Elia plays a predator in this Workaholics episode. In the 3 fucking burnouts, try to catch him. They want to catch a predator, him, and he ends up being really cool. Like he shows up at their house with like a box of beers, an Xbox, a bong. So like they don't want to end up like capturing him because Chris D'Elia is so fucking
This is
cool.
really, really cool. These guys are really,
But
really
they
nice.
catch him and his name in the chat room is like Bieber Hole 69.
Bieber Hole. Of course, because he was on the Bieber roast.
Yeah, he's Bieber's favorite comedian.
Yeah. So but he's very. When it comes to delivery, like you're saying, when comics are able to put up like a show, there's the jokes that you enjoy, and then also like there's a bit of theatrics to it. It doesn't mean you have to be this rowdy, crazy kind of comedian, but when
Some
you really
people, that's Dane Cook.
Yeah,
This is my hand.
Yeah, look at that. And even Kevin Hart when his little thing, he's a little man, in a big man's
Yeah.
world. You know what I mean?
His
That's what I'm saying.
faces.
And then constantly clapping or whatever. But there are comics that when you look at, they're like such great joke writers, but it's so monotone and it's like set up punch, and they could be great. And those are great comics to see like on a very limited or very short thing, but to be a person you listen to for an entire hour, it's harder for some people to enjoy it. But those people are the ones that go out and do stand up, but they're probably one of those great writers that are part of a writing team for like bigger shows.
Do you
that are
have
on
ideas
TV.
now? Like usually when they say that, if you're gonna go out to Cali to attack something like that, you better already have
Dude,
ideas.
there's stuff that I already got in
Hell
the mix.
yeah.
A lot of stuff. There's a lot of things I've been working on and doing, with other comics. One of my good buddies, Ray Harrington.
Yeah.
Him and I have done quite a bit of things together.
Where's Ray
Stuff.
from?
He's actually originally from Maine.
Okay.
And so he's worked his way toward down here because of comedy and stuff too.
Yeah, how do you feel about the Fall River Comic? Like right now, obviously Scotty's top of his, top of the charts right now for like the social media. How do you feel about the Fall River Comics?
Oh, there are comics that are in the area that are supportive right now at this point. We got a lot of the stuff that goes on over at the Belmont on Mondays, and it's actually created.
Yeah, you
this
gotta let
fun
people know.
little-
I don't think people know that you guys do stuff like that.
On Mondays, there is and they schedule comics, so it's not like a lot of like an open mic where guys are just going out being assholes.
Sometimes Belmont can be a little too low key.
Yeah.
You gotta let it out there.
But
They got comedy shows.
They have created a little bit of this following where that small room in the back there, we put on these fun shows. They're free. It's on a Monday. It starts right around like 9 o'clock-ish, right? And my buddy Andrew Williams and Rob Green, who both have lived in the city.
Oh, Andrew, yeah.
And they host this show together. And it's been a fun. They've been doing it for a few years
I need
now.
to go. He's really been telling me to go all the time. I
Yeah.
keep telling him I'm gonna go too, but now I get like
I go there a
I gotta
lot
go check him out.
to do a set. They'll have me go on most of the time when I end up showing up, and I almost never repeat any joke I've ever done. They've allowed me to open up about a lot of stuff.
That
and
was another
environment
cool
is
thing
so
too.
great.
Going to see you is that you almost come with that like, you know what I mean, like that not that forward, but like that South Coast vibe. You still get. It's not really just when I went to go see you, I got to see Andrew too. I thought that was awesome. I was like, hell yeah, I didn't even expect this.
Yeah, you're
You know what
seeing
I mean?
guys
You
that
know
are like,
what I mean?
oh, I know from the area.
Yeah, and you always forget that there's like openers and stuff like that. Not just openers, but because I don't want to say stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like the guys that come on before you, and they're just as funny. Like I mean, I like the kid, like Pete Davidson. When we went to go see him, he was okay. Like I expected him to be better. Like I mean, the kid that came on before Pete, who only had like a 20-minute set, crushed it, dude.
Yep.
He fucking murdered it. He was so funny. Damn, I hate that I forgot his name. He was from New York, though. I feel like his name was like something Feelers or something like that. I'm going to look it up. He was a really, really funny guy.
And that's a lot of times that's what it was. When I used to...
Shout out to Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew's great. And I used to travel around with Ralphie May. And when his whole thing was that he wanted me or anybody who ever opened up for him, and anybody, and I've talked to this with the other comics that have worked with him before too. He wanted us to get almost like a standing ovation before he goes up, and he would tell the crowds, he was like, these guys are professional comics, they're headliners, know right, and all that kind of stuff. They travel around. He goes, but I have them on my show because this is the kind of show we want to give you. And he's like, well, we're all friends and all that kind of stuff. And
I
it just
heard,
made you feel.
Ralphie was really supportive to everybody.
One of the most
Always
supportive.
looked out for his like, and just comedians in general, not
Yeah.
just his friends. Like if you were a comic, and I want to keep because is there a difference between comedians and comics? I say that a lot, and I feel like a lot of times when I'm talking to stand-up comedians, it's almost like they correct me and they could say a comic.
You know,
is there like a line in between those?
I
Like,
guess so.
Yeah.
I could give a fuck. For me,
I feel like the comedians want to be called comics, though.
Yeah, I guess so.
What would you rather be called?
To me, it doesn't. You can call me whatever the fuck you want to.
Like when I put the description on here, do I put stand-up comic or do I put comedian Derek Furtado? What do you want?
You know what? It
really doesn't matter. I'm just put Derek Furtado.
How about instead of stand-up comic, just stand-up comedian? Because you have both comedian and then stand-up and the whole thing. We'll just make it as long as possible. From however that does a wide vagina joke. Like just put this whole big thing that like all beforehand. But for me, it doesn't. Those words don't really bother me too much.
Yeah.
Because it's just like as a comic, as a comedian. When you get to a certain point, nobody says comedian Chris Rock. Nobody says comic Kevin Hart.
So why put the label now?
The name is the name itself, and you are established, and people know you for whatever it is that they're going to know you for. And so the idea of having that kind of thing is so irrelevant to me, because I just like the idea of being able to do something that I want to do, and then when somebody says my name, it's connected however you want to connect it to, whether it's comic or comedian or whatever it is, because even if it's a little different, you're still on the right track. You know what I mean?
Yeah, obviously. Everybody knows your name. That's at the end of the day, that's what you want.
Yeah, because I guess there's another guy named Derek Furtado who's like a real estate guy, and I don't want to be like, oh yeah, you know, the realtor Derek Furtado.
So I'll take that over. That's your domain name now.
So it's like comic, comedian, whatever it is, just as long as it's not realtor.
So what's the goal? Do you gonna look for auditions out there? You're gonna get a talent agent, and you're just gonna hit the comedy clubs?
Really, what it comes down to is being able to make a living doing what it is that involves creating. So whether I'm a writer or an actor, but I'm doing stand up. That is a given, and that's what that's the biggest passion. But to make the day-to-day living kind of work, unless you're really making it big being a stand-up comic. But in the meantime, while you go through that and you're in that world, I mean, waking up and being at a writer's table for a show, I have so many friends that have been able to do these kinds of things and these connections. All I got to do is get my shit lined up, talk to the right people, and certainly things can possibly work out.
And don't touch nobody under 18.
Yeah, don't touch anybody on it. I mean, don't touch. If you just there's no human resources in comedy, so I just go with your gut and just keep your hands to yourself.
Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he did keep his
hands to himself, but he just was like in the corner, like, hey.
You told me to keep my hands to myself.
Yeah, I did.
So I did.
And so that's why it's a different thing. That's why some people are going to go, I don't know about Louis. He just did. It's like, it's a weird thing for somebody to be doing. Any man, I'm sorry.
I mean, sometimes people forget.
Nothing is attractive about a man hurled over, whether it's Louis, whether it's me. It's such a gross. Like I'd be offended. Like if I caught myself in the mirror, I'd be like, oh fuck. Like I would want.
You think better looking guys have jerked off in front of Sarah Silverman and she's just not saying it?
Oh, in front of Sarah Silverman, I think no. Sarah Silverman would say something about it.
She said it about Louis C.K. So it's like, I wonder if like Zac Efron jerked off in front of her and she's just not telling anybody because it was Zac Efron.
Right. She's like, it's Zac Efron. Well, the difference between, and I've said, there was a phrase out there, and I've said it before. It's like the difference between a guy being a creep or pedophile and or being your boyfriend is how attractive he is. Because if some things that some guys are more attractive, that they would say certain things, women will probably like let that slide more so than somebody they find unattractive. But I think that just goes both ways, either guys or women or whatever. It's the tolerance level here and there, but I think overall, the idea of people being more cautious to what they say and how they say things is super important. It does affect other people, and as a comic, that's why I know for myself there is a responsibility there too, and my awareness is a way to, even if I want to talk about these touchy subjects, my approach to be responsible enough for people to want to listen to what I have to say, I got to be respectful to how people are going to
I feel like
react to stuff.
That LA Times article that they did on, if you guys don't know, LA Times did a cool article on Derek. I feel like you pretty much explained it on there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you pretty much know how to, like, deliver. You know how to handle those people that are, like, you know what I mean? I don't want to tell you tiptoe with the jokes, but you deliver them the way they're supposed to be delivered. It's like one of those things.
My whole thing is, even if I'm going to do something questionable, and it is a topic that people could be, weary about, because I talk about race, I talk about sex, I talk about, like my kid is transgender, which is what I talked about in the LA Times article. But my whole thing is that I'm trying to be a better person. I'm trying to be a better parent, trying to be a better comic, trying to do all that stuff. And I got to realize in any conversation you have with any human being, let's take not comedy out of it, just you meet somebody for the first time. If there is a attractive girl, I go up to her, I'm not going to go up to her and be like, hey, I like anal sex. I like putting it in your butt. That's what I want to do. I don't open up a conversation like that. No, what's your name? How's the weather? Maybe we go on a couple dates. But then we're going to be drunk that one night, and we've been together for a little while, and I'm going to ask if I can put it in her butt. But then at that point, she's probably a little more open to the idea. Even if she shuts me down, she's not mad. She's not I'm not this fucking weirdo.
Because you just have to make it clear.
But I had to create this relationship for this thing to be appropriate to bring up. Anything I do in front of a crowd, I create a relationship to where, I don't want people to have a wall up immediately because they're not going to listen to what I have to say. Even if I have a good point, they're already out. And knowing that, I have to go into things and just be a little more, just so I can say what I want.
That's got to come from the moving around all the time as a kid.
Sure.
Like, you know what I mean?
Being aware of what's going on. Improv. Seeing what the room
adapting
is.
to everything, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Or
hell
improving, and yes, it's as a comedian would say, yeah.
So because you use all of your senses, your sight, you know what I mean, the smells, you hear, like everything you see, you got to utilize all that so that way you can make the right decision. Do I make some wrong ones sometimes and fuck it up? We all do. Yeah. But you become stronger after that, So for being a stand-up comic, sometimes when you pull the curtain back, it's really not as funny as people think it is. It's just kind of like, oh wow, there's really a lot of stuff that you have to pay attention or you look at, and it's like, yeah, that's how you do it. So that way I can have fun, and everybody else can have fun too.
Like doing it on the fly. Like a lot of,
yes.
I say a lot of your stuff is obviously material that you use, but like
yeah.
being on the fly must be great when you're just like bang bang hitting stuff that's like obviously improv.
Yep.
People don't really see it coming. It's you're talking about people who are right in front of you you've never seen before.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
everybody's laughing. Everybody's cracking up. That must be like
the idea of you not having to use any of your material and it just being based off of just being
that means
funny.
You're naturally funny.
It goes back to before you become a stand-up comic.
Yeah.
Just when you hung around with all your friends and people used to say you should be a stand-up comic. If you can have that moment without using any material for a comic, we're like.
Do you think that's enough though? When someone says like, "Hey, you should do stand-up," like, do you think it's enough for them to go try to do it?
That's not enough. But I think what happens when more and more people kind of notice that thing, you start to go, "Hey, maybe there is something there," because
I think that's what my brother's at right now. He says so many people are telling him you should give it a shot. It's like to me, I worry about the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
I don't worry about him. He's fine. I worry about the people. Anybody tries to heckle him, or boom.
That's you need to, if you want to go up there and do that, you need to fucking swallow your pride and realize that you can fail, and that's the risk. But you can't always get mad at them because they don't agree or they are reacting to something that you say. That's you should know that going into it. Because I tell comics all the time, it's like, what's the worst thing gonna happen? What are they gonna do? If you're not funny, what the fuck are
Has
they
everybody
gonna
ever
do?
done the rest? You have ever had a heckler that was like probably funnier than some of the comedians you've seen?
Patrice O'Neill started off like that.
I was gonna say, have you ever seen somebody become a heckler? Then
go from it. Patrice O'Neill, his story was like that.
He was a heckler?
He worked at a comedy club, and he would say shit back to comics and destroy them from the audience.
I feel like the first time I saw Patrice O'Neill ever, he was a heckler. He was heckling Dave Chappelle in the Player Haters Ball.
I'm
the biggest player hater.
Yes, he is. He was the best at that kind of stuff. So can there be people who were hecklers and become I've never like seen that storyline play out in front of me, but I'm sure it's out there, because you feel it and you want to be able to do better. It's like you catch a fly ball out somewhere, and then they're looking at you to throw the ball back, but then you throw it past them to try to just show off your fucking guns. You know what I mean? You're like, I'm gonna throw it past the outfielder to try to get to the shortstop.
You got your
cut off guy.
second baseman sitting there like this.
Like,
oh, real nice.
Oh wow, look at this guy. Yeah, let's add him on and take money away from me.
What
No, none of those players like you. You're an asshole. You know.
What happens if you don't tag him out? You look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah. So that's with people wanting to be comics. I embrace it. Like anybody wants to do it, give it a shot. See if it works out for you. And people who truly want to do stand up.
So what's your timeline right now? Like when do you plan on moving to Cali, or giving it a shot out there?
I'm hoping it's going to happen within this next year or so. If not, it's definitely going to be sooner now than later, because my kid's getting older too. My kid's 17, going to be graduating high school after next year, and that area.
College?
And then
college?
going on to college, yeah, all that kind
Any
of stuff.
ideas where they want to go?
Well, we've talked about things here and there. Definitely want to go to like an art school kind of thing.
That'd be cool. What do you? But until you take off, where can people find you?
Well, this is the way I always say it, because people are like, "Oh, what's your website? What's this handle? This handle? Where?"
I do plan on putting your handle for everything. What
I tell people to do though, anyway, if you don't want to check out all the things, this is my website. It's google.com. Type in Derek Furtado. Everything shows up there. Isn't that crazy how that works? You don't need, just go to google.com.
How can you find you?
Derek
Google
Furtado. Name. And there's a Twitter thing, there's an Instagram thing, there's a Facebook thing, there is the all the stuff.
What's the face? Show them, give them the face.
What the all the stuff. Google.com, Derek Furtado, not Nelly Furtado, Derek Furtado.
Which is a common misconception out here in the South Coast.
People, are you
related?
They
might. I mean, no, could be. A lot of people. Growing up in Fall River, everybody was related to Nelly Furtado.
Oh
I don't know if you know that. Like, I don't know if you were here around that time.
Oh,
when I'm Like a Bird came out, everybody was related to Nelly Furtado.
I keep telling people, no, I'm not. I'm not. And if I was, I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation with you. We wouldn't be in this. This wouldn't be happening if I was related to Nelly Furtado. Okay, that's not how that works. But yeah, so go do then you can check out all the stuff that I have, and then check out the Dub Smash. I have some stand-up that's old. I try not to put too much on there. I do need to get more up to date with maybe just like little pockets of heckler
Is
stuff.
there like a steady spot you're at right now, like on Fridays and Saturdays?
I was always at the Comedy Connection for a while, but for this month I got a few other things that I'm going to be doing some of, like going to graduations and weddings and things like that or whatever, which I'm not doing some shows here and there. But next month I'll be doing some stuff out in Rhode Island. I've done a lot in Connecticut, Massachusetts. Summertime, it's just kind of like, people want to do outdoorsy kind of stuff, so shows end up being a little bit lighter, but still, you go to the Comedy Connection. I hop on there a bunch of times. I'll put stuff up on my Facebook to say if I'm doing, a set, at the Connection, if it comes up last minute. But if anybody just wants to just hang out for free on the Mondays, I do recommend in Fall River. If you want to support Fall River, go to the Belmont on the Mondays, 9 o'clock. It's called the Raffle House, which is ROFL, rolling on the floor laughing, and the sign is like the Waffle House thing, but it's Raffle House. And they put on great shows, and I try to stop in there a lot to do newer material. So
get some good drinks and go watch you on a Monday. Get some good food, because the Comedy Connection food over there is pretty good too.
No, you're talking about the Comedy Connection now. I'm talking about the Belmont.
Well, I'm saying get some good drinks at Belmont on a Monday, or you go to Comedy Connection on a Saturday, get some good food. It helps. Why not?
And I was just in Worcester at the Woo Ha Ha Comedy Club on Friday doing their late night show, which was a lot of fun, and even did brand new stuff that night just from a conversation I was having with another comic. Dude, we just had one premise. And then it turned into like an applause break, because we were talking about the effort of what you would do, and this is gonna get dirty. The effort that any of us do to a partner that like if you came first, when you're having sex, whoever comes first, if they feel that they need to kind of finish off their partner, the effort you're putting in after you come is different from before you did. Like, it's not the same. It's not the same. You start realizing time more. You're like, oh, this is taking a long time. Like, you notice the pain in your jaw or your neck because you're trying to do the. You notice all that. Yeah, you feel it right in here. Yeah. So you get some people, or their tongue, and then they're like at an angle and their neck hurt like that. Or if you're doing this, you're like getting a cramp like in your. It's like here.
Carpal tunnel.
Yeah, you start
permanently stuck.
Yeah, it starts to. But you notice that. But when before you come, you're just like, oh, well, you'll fight through all the. You don't know any. You go, I'll do this forever. But then after it all.
That's
changes.
the biggest lie right there. All night.
Yeah,
all night.
All
15
night,
minutes
baby.
later.
Yeah, you're done. You're just sitting there. Oh God, why are we? Do we have to work in the morning? And it's
open up a window.
Yeah, it's like ridiculous. And so. I was just playing off on that. There was no punchline, but it was going off on this tangent, and it was just we were having fun. The crowd was reacting, and ended up being a thing we all, had a good laugh about. And so I love that kind of thing. That thing comes out just from a small conversation earlier, and so I like creating things. I like doing that kind of stuff. So if anybody wants to come and see anything that I do, especially doing new stuff, go to the Belmont. That's fun.
Mondays.
No money.
Yeah. And if you can't go make it to the Belmont Mondays, obviously follow them. Give them a follow on all the social medias. I'm gonna drop all your handles on.
Yeah.
Whatever you on. Obviously, you're on Twitter.
Yep. I'm on Twitter.
Facebook, make sure you get
I do it minimally. I would say the Instagram stuff.
Do you do Snapchat stuff? And
Snapchat, dude. Like Snapchat. I was doing a story yesterday because they have a woman filter. So I went out with my girlfriend, and I was like, ladies' night, and we're just doing the thing. We're like, yeah, bitch, what the fuck, get ready. And so we went out.
I'm bald, so, like, it looks really weird on me.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I don't even want to get into it. I look more like an old lady than a bad bitch.
Oh,
but it's
nice.
funny, though. It's definitely weird, but a lot of guys look good.
Yeah, and I put the man filter on mine, too. I just look like a better man.
Yeah, some kid used that Snapchat filter as his Tinder profile picture, and he got 1,600 freaking matches. And it was a guy just using that filter.
That's fucking funny.
It's on Lad Bible today, man.
Oh, yeah. I've dressed up like a woman before for, like, acting stuff. And I'm not a good-looking woman. But that filter, I'm kind of hot, dude. I'm kind of hot. So I could see myself getting a lot of
I think I'm a dime.
as well.
Like, in that filter.
What I mean? Oh, the filter? Yeah, dude.
Well, I would be a dime if I wasn't bald. Because it just looks weird.
It's just weird, yeah.
But other than that, some good-looking dudes out there.
Yeah.
I think the girls are pissed off. The filter didn't work out for them as well.
Yeah, it's all right. Well, what can they do? It's the genes.
But all right, Derek, we're going to keep you here any longer. It's getting a little dark.
Yeah, man, Game of Thrones on tonight, so we got to finish this thing up.
This will be out on Tuesday. And thank you, everybody. You go watch Derek on Mondays at Belmont. And all of this stuff, we're going to give you all of his hands. Go follow him and go check him out on all these weekends.
Nice.
And give him a good look, too, as he goes out to Cali to go crush it as an actor. Like, that's going to be fun. Like,
yeah.
I watch SNL every freaking Saturday, dude. And I know that you're more than good enough to be on
I'll
SNL.
give shout-outs to Farver more than what's his name? Gabe, the chef. Lagasse. I'm gonna shout out to the city more than he did because he doesn't fucking. He always talks about like Louisiana, New Orleans. He's a fucking. Come on.
He's a sellout, but the only time he brings up Forever is when he brings up Charisse.
Yeah.
But we use Charisse all the time. We love it down there in the South Coast, and it's like.
Man, you should say more, but you're always talking about New Orleans.
You should kind of take a restaurant and work out. We're really good down here right now. There's a lot of shit restaurants out here. Like you fucking been to Barrett's Waterfront. I might cut that out. I might not. All right, everybody. Derek FURTADO.
Support your local businesses.
What's good forever?